Welcome to our presentation on how the BBC use a variety of design techniques across their websites to appeal to the child and adult target user. For the following presentation, we are comparing how the BBC adapt their design techniques to fit around the child and adult user groups and analysing what effect these techniques have on the users. The websites we are using to do so are BBC News and Cbeebies. The first design technique I'll be analysing is accessibility on the BBC pages. BBC makes their content accessible through design tools such as colour, aesthetics, sound and content positioning. However, the BBC needs to accommodate sub-users within these user groups to make sure they stay in line with the Web Guidelines and Equality Act 2010. These sub-users are the likes of the disabled, visually impaired and deaf people. This slide shows the tools the BBC use to aid their sub-user groups. By 2020, there will be roughly 2 million people in the UK with sight loss problems, so it is important that all websites increase levels of accessibility for the visually impaired. Some tools the BBC offer to support this user group are how-to guides, changing background colours, changing text size, magnifying the screen, making the mouse pointer bigger, making your personal computer speak aloud.
Hello, my name is Shaun Green and I will be discussing the use of icons, a problem with an icon on the Cbeebies page and the use of mnemonics.
The BBC homepage hardly uses any icons in comparison to the Cbeebies page. Looking at the main newsfeed in the site, the navigation bar and the other content, they are heavily used. The designer thinks that using icons along with usually short captions is more engaging for the child user, whereas on the BBC homepage just simplifying the content with short headings makes it easier for the usability of the website. The Cbeebies site icons are also widely used and are interlinked. For example, the icons used to navigate the main content and the content below the same icons. The same can be said for the BBC homepage with the iPlayer and audio icon, which is used across the website. Although different icons are used to represent similar things, the only similarity in both websites is that the only icons which are completely identical are the ones right at the top with the sign-in and search icons, but these are used across all websites within the BBC, which promotes consistency. Mnemonics. On the BBC homepage, they use mnemonics such as mon, choose, wed to indicate which days are related to the weather forecast. This is appropriate because most users will know what these represent. However, if this was used on the Cbeebies site, then the child users may not know what this means because they have not gained the appropriate knowledge or learned the concept. As they get older, they should be able to understand the concept. Research shows that as young children get older, their first memories tend to get later and later, but around age 10, their memories crystallise. So it is important that designers don't overload them with information. The mnemonic used on the BBC site is quite consistent in everyday life, such as in calendars and TV guides, so it helps us retrieve the correct information without cluttering the screen with too much information. Finally, Cbeebies may not use this because they may feel other techniques are more appropriate to its intended audience. In the main content on the Cbeebies site, they use a play/pour icon. However, against one or two backgrounds, it is hard to see. This could be frustrating for the user, as he or she may not notice it and may feel that they have to wait until the content repeats itself. Although a roll-over animation is used, the designer could have drew more attention to it by making the icon bigger or maybe having a glowing outline around the icon.
My name is Mansell. I'll be talking about the navigation bars on the BBC and Cbeebies. I'll be discussing both their differences and similarities. When it comes to navigation bars, both the BBC and Cbeebies have more than one navigation bar. The top navigation bar on the BBC has buttons separated by thin greyed lines, which gives it a more mature look. When you hover over each button, it underlines the word in a certain colour. When you click on the link, the background colour of the header is that colour, which makes it aesthetically attractive to the eye. The navigation bar is very usable, mainly due to its basic look. It could attract an elderly age group, which would make it more simplistic look, easier for them to use. You get to learn the colour schemes of the site subsections. You would subconsciously learn that red is for news and yellow is for sport. The middle navigation bar on the BBC is very interactive compared to the first navigation bar. It's easy to use and you can direct with arrows on either side or click on the buttons along the bottom. It flows in a full circle, which makes it easy on the eye. When you hover over a topic such as sport, it will underline in the colour of that subsite, red in this case, like the first navigation bar. This gives you quick access to some of the main headlines on some of their subsites, such as sports or news. The navigation bar contains a lot of information which could become overwhelming, especially for a novice user. With Cbeebies, the top navigation bar has audio present, which makes it more engaging for the younger user. The person who reads out what the button is changes his voice tone on each one and makes sure his tone isn't mono at all. Steinschneider suggests that changes in pitch rather than changes in volume may be more effective in evoking a response. As with the BBC navigation bar, when you hover over the buttons they change. With the BBC they just get underlined, but with Cbeebies it's more dynamic. When you hover over a button it changes colour, and it stays that colour once you click on it. For example, games stays red, which again, like with sound, would help engage the user. In contrast to the BBC site, there is use of logos on the navigation bar, each relevant to the link. For example, songs has a music note next to it. The Cbeebies website contains a third navigation bar along the top of the site, which is almost identical to the BBC's one. As the BBC is the main site and Cbeebies is a sub-site of that, it would make sense to have it on there so users can navigate back to the site if needed. It has other uses though, as it contains different buttons such as Cbeebies iPlayer, Grown Ups, TV Guide and CBBC. The only ones which are the same are the main BBC logo, More, Sign In and the search bar. It is worth noting that these are in the exact same position on both sites, which promotes consistency on the sites. If a user from BBC went onto the Cbeebies website, I think they'd find it easy to use. The sound on the buttons may become irritating to the older user, and the content would be much less relevant. Users who regularly use the BBC website may have to find themselves on the Cbeebies one because they have children, which is maybe why the layout and structure of the navigation bars is similar. If a young user went onto the BBC website, I feel that they may get bored easily due to the lack of colour and sound. There's also a lot of information which could be seen as too much to the older user, and it could be very overpowering for the younger user.
Hello, my name is McKee, and during this presentation I'm commenting on various elements such as colour and font using the two websites to fit their intended target audience. Starting on the font, Cbeebies have used two different styles on the initial interface. The first one being used in the navbar. The font is very childish and bubbly, which will connect to the target audience. It's also outlined in white, making it stand out from the background. Unlike the font used in the navbar, the second font is much more basic, however still very clear. The font is intended to capture the user's attention and interest them into further content within the web page. Opposing Cbeebies, the BBC homepage has much more content on display. Also, the designer has used various fonts adjusting size, colour and boldness to display different terms. The location is displayed in basic sans serif, which makes it clear and easy to read. A different use of colour makes it easy to distinguish between location and date. The font used in the navigation bar is the same font used as the font in the articles, which promotes consistency throughout the website. Now, I will be talking about the colour schemes on the BBC and the Cbeebies website. The BBC colour scheme is very simple but effective. The background is white, which makes the black text stand out and easy to read. I feel like the colour scheme makes the site look like more of a newspaper, which fits perfectly with the site's content. Also, the background is white, which makes the images look very vibrant. I feel like a variety of colours would distract the user from the site's content, hence why a plain colour scheme has been used. Unlike the BBC site, the Cbeebies colour scheme is a lot more complex. The background is a cartoon portraying the woods with familiar Cbeebies characters. The heavy use of green makes the site look very vibrant. The cartoon gives the page a very childish look and connects with the younger audience. Unlike the BBC page, Cbeebies have used bright primary colours such as blues, greens and yellows. I feel like the colour scheme used on the BBC page, which is black and white, would be very boring and wouldn't connect to the younger audience using the Cbeebies page. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and here are our references.